Laurel and Hardy, a name that once meant laughter echoing through theaters around the world. They were Hollywood's golden boys, making millions laugh while studios raked in fortunes. But here's the shocking twist. The men who created timeless comedy classics were betrayed by the very system they helped build. Stan Laurel died with only $2,000 in his bank account, and Oliver Hardy lost everything to gambling and divorces. The kings of comedy had been left penniless. Stay with me till the end, because only then will you understand how deep this betrayal truly went. Stan Laurel's story begins in a small town in England in 1890. His father, Arthur Jefferson, was a well-known theater manager, while his mother performed in variety shows. The Jefferson family often struggled with money, even taking in actors as boarders just to survive. Yet little Stan grew up surrounded by theater magic. While other children worked in factories, he was playing in prop rooms, watching rehearsals, and writing his own comedy sketches by age 15. His childhood was tough, but it lit the fire that would make him a legend. On the other side of the world, in Georgia, 1892, Oliver Hardy was born. Life struck him with tragedy early. His father died before he turned 1. His mother, Emily, supported the family by running a hotel. Hardy, nicknamed Babe for his round cheeks, found escape in theaters, where he spent hours watching silent comedies. By 8, he was already singing in minstrel shows, earning a little money for his family. Behind his laughter was a boy who visited his father's grave in silence, carrying sadness few could see. Two boys, oceans apart, both molded by hardship, were unknowingly walking toward destiny. By the early 1900s, both Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy were already chasing the world of performance, though in very different ways. Laurel, still known as Stan Jefferson back then, was living a backstage life that most children could only dream of. While classmates studied textbooks, he was rehearsing routines, writing his own sketches, and even performing pantomimes before the age of 16. In 1912, he got his big break, joining Fred Karno's London Comedians, the same troupe that launched Charlie Chaplin. Imagine the pressure. Laurel was Chaplin's understudy, sharing cramped bunks with him on their voyage to America. He performed tirelessly, sometimes 3 shows a day, learning the perfectionism and timing that later defined his career. Meanwhile, Oliver Hardy's path was shifting. He studied at Georgia Military College and showed surprising talent in sports, football, baseball, even swimming. Some thought he might have a professional athletic future, but his heart wasn't in academics. He skipped classes for music, and his passion for performing grew stronger. By 1910, when his mother opened the first movie theater in their small town, Hardy practically lived there, watching films over and over. By 1913, convinced he could do better than many actors he saw on screen, he left for Jacksonville, Florida, then a booming hub for silent films. Within 2 years, he had appeared in 50 shorts, a staggering start for a young man chasing a dream. Here's the twist. Laurel's early solo career flopped. Between 1917 and 1921, his silent shorts failed to impress. Critics dismissed him as a Chaplin copycat. On the other hand, Hardy was endlessly busy, acting in hundreds of films, though rarely as the star. Their paths even crossed in a forgotten short film, The Lucky Dog in 1921. They had no memory of it, but destiny was quietly setting the stage. By the mid-1920s, Hollywood was changing fast, and fate finally began weaving Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy together. Both had landed work at Hal Roach Studios, a bustling factory of comedy shorts. Laurel was hired as a writer and director more than as an actor, creating material for other comedians. Hardy, meanwhile, had established himself as a reliable supporting player, always in demand, yet never quite a headline name. It was here, under the bright but chaotic lights of Roach Studios, that something remarkable happened. In 1927, director Clyde Bruckman cast them together in the short film Putting Pants on Philip. The magic was instant. Audiences couldn't stop laughing at the contrast between Hardy's pompous, heavy-set character and Laurel's clueless, innocent demeanor. They weren't just funny, they were different, a duo unlike anything cinema had seen before. Roach immediately sensed the potential. He began pairing them intentionally, and within months, Laurel and Hardy were no longer just 2 actors. They were becoming the team. Their chemistry was unteachable, born out of pure instinct. Laurel handled the creative side, writing routines, shaping gags, and obsessing over timing. Hardy brought warmth and rhythm, transforming simple lines into comedic gold with just a look at the camera. Together, they built a formula. Hardy as the self-important man constantly undone by Laurel's childlike blunders. This period gave birth to classics like The Battle of the Century, 1927, featuring cinema's most famous pie fight. By the late 1920s, they had developed their iconic look. Laurel's thin frame, blank stare, and bowler hat alongside Hardy's rotund figure, tie, an equally symbolic bowler. The world was laughing, and the pair was climbing towards superstardom. But beneath the rising fame, a question lingered. Could they keep up with Hollywood's next great shift, the arrival of sound? When sound revolutionized Hollywood at the end of the 1920s, many silent stars saw their careers vanish overnight. But for Laurel and Hardy, it became a golden opportunity. Their comedy, built on expressions and timing, now gained an entirely new layer: voices. Laurel's high-pitched, hesitant delivery made his innocence even funnier, while Hardy's deep Southern drawl amplified his pompous dignity. The transition was seamless, and audiences adored them even more. With this new momentum, the duo starred in a string of successful shorts, each more inventive than the last. Titles like Hog Wild, 1930, and Helpmates, 1932, showcased their ability to turn everyday situations into chaos. They didn't need elaborate plots. The humor lived in the smallest details, like Hardy's exasperated sighs or Laurel's nervous scratching of the head. Their catchphrases, from Hardy's iconic, "Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into," became household lines. By the mid-1930s, Laurel and Hardy had transitioned to feature films, and their global fame skyrocketed. Sons of the Desert, 1933, became a cult classic, cementing their reputation as masters of both short and long-form comedy. They weren't just American stars anymore. They were international icons, beloved in Europe, Asia, and beyond. Fans across languages and cultures could laugh without needing translation, because their humor was universal. Behind the scenes, their partnership was a delicate balance. Laurel, ever the perfectionist, wrote and directed much of their material, obsessing over timing and pacing. Hardy, more easygoing, trusted Laurel's instincts and focused on performing. This harmony worked beautifully on screen, but it wasn't without tensions. Studio pressures, creative disagreements, and the constant demand for fresh ideas tested them. Yet, through it all, they remained inseparable, the world's favorite comedy team. But success always has a shadow. Soon, cracks began to appear in their golden run. By the late 1930s and early 1940s, Laurel and Hardy's golden age faced turbulence. Hollywood studios, always chasing profits, began interfering with their creative freedom. Contracts often forced them into projects that didn't match their style, diluting the magic that had made them legends. Still, their names carried enormous weight, and fans filled theaters wherever they appeared. But behind the laughter, both men struggled with personal and professional challenges that tested their bond. Stan Laurel, known for his sharp creative vision, clashed repeatedly with producers. He felt that the scripts handed to them lacked originality, and his frustration grew as he watched their signature humor being watered down. Oliver Hardy, meanwhile, remained loyal but more willing to go along with studio demands, creating moments of quiet tension between the duo. Despite these struggles, their chemistry on screen never faltered. Audiences couldn't see the cracks behind the curtain. During World War II, their popularity remained strong, but the entertainment industry was shifting. New comedians and new styles began dominating the landscape. Still, Laurel and Hardy's appeal was timeless. Their tours in Europe during the late 1940s and early 1950s showed just how deeply loved they were abroad. Fans in England, France, and even far-off countries greeted them with overwhelming devotion. They were not just film stars, they were cultural treasures. But time, as always, took its toll. Health issues, age, and fading opportunities gradually slowed them down. Hardy passed away in 1957, leaving Laurel devastated. He refused to perform again without his partner, believing that Laurel and Hardy only existed together. His loyalty, even in silence, defined their story. Their legacy endures today, not just as comedians, but as pioneers who proved that laughter could unite the world, without borders, without words, and without end.